Are you not entertained?
We are fired up and ready to roll. Bartholomew, we're going to have to strap him down today. Maybe the game of the NFL season lived up to all of the hype last night in Seattle. We will be all over that in a matter of moments. But we begin with the countdown right now. For the college guys are here. College first impressions from Jordan Rodgers and Greg McElroy and Josh Pate. We are just under 12 hours to Alabama, Oklahoma. Greg, what is your first impression of this SEC rematch?
Well, Greeny, I want to see Alabama come out and be aggressive offensively. It feels like the last month of the season, since their most recent bye, starting with the LSU game all the way through the Auburn game and then into the Georgia game, they've been playing not to lose. Now that they're in, the pressure's off. I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but they're in the field. Go throw a punch. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. And I feel like they need to turn into the hunter as opposed to the hunted, because that's kind of the way they've played for the last month of the year.
Josh Pate, is this a Ty Simpson game?
Yeah, it should be. I mean, last game, Greeny, they ended up not starting a drive, did Alabama, better than their own 30. And OU started 4 drives in Bama territory. And a lot of that had to do with turnovers, but it also had to do with just a lot of 3-and-outs, no sustained drives. Look, a punt near midfield would not be the worst thing in the world for Alabama here. A bunch of punts after 3-and-out inside their own territory would be the worst thing in the world.
Jordan, how about this quarterback matchup? We got two guys who at different times of the season were talked about in the Heisman conversation, John Mateer and Ty Simpson. How do you see the matchup tonight?
Yeah, to me, this one comes down to Alabama's protection. They're going to be healthier. Jam Miller should be back. Josh Cuevas, the tight end, both those guys crucial in protection. Can they give a clean pocket to Ty Simpson? Because I still believe the body of work tells us he's one of the best in the country in a clean pocket, when he can handle the pressure, when he can be accurate downfield without stuffing his face. That hasn't been the case the last couple of weeks. So can this Alabama defense hold up this time against Oklahoma? They didn't last time. 4 sacks, 2 turnovers came on that pressure against Ty Simpson.
All right, so all eyes on that tonight. Then tomorrow, the early game is Texas A&M at home against Miami. Jordan, I will start with you. What's your first impression of this matchup?
Yeah, great quarterback matchup with Carson Beck and Marcel Reed. But to me, this is going to come down to, can Texas A&M stop the run? And that's for 2 reasons. The first, they couldn't do that against Texas. They give up 9 rushes of 10 or more yards. They've given up 3.3 yards after contact this year. That's 130th in the country. If you can't slow down the run, then you can't let your third down defense get after Carson Beck. And they're the best third down defense in the country. If they can force second long, third long, then they can force Carson Beck in some turnovers, and that's what we've seen be their Achilles heel in their 2 losses so far.
So, Pate, is this the Carson Beck game?
It's a Miami offense game. It's not just a Carson Beck game. I think if this falls squarely on the shoulders of Carson Beck, you've kind of done him a disservice on the road in this environment. Back to Jordan's point, he's talking about whether A&M can stop the run. Well, that's what you got to find out. At some point, Mario Cristobal comes to Miami. He assembles a stockpile of big bodies along the offensive line, and they do this, Greeny. They talk about this. Well, this is when you do that thing right there. That's when you impose your will and you take away their ability to rush the passer, because it's constantly 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1. So it's a Miami collective offensive effort they need.
Greg, final thought from you on this one. You'll be on the call tomorrow.
We're going to talk a lot about the quarterbacks and how good they are. Guys, I'm looking at the personnel along the defensive line for both teams. Cassius Howell for Texas A&M, the duo of Akeem Mesidor and Ruben Bain for Miami. These guys all, I think, will ultimately come off the board in the first round. These guys are difference makers. And I'm looking at the weapons at wide receiver. KC Concepcion is lightning in the bottle. He's Malik Neighbors 2.0 at the college level. Going to be a big-time pro. And then on the other side, the true freshman, Malachi Toney, who not only is an outstanding wide receiver, but they've used him in Wildcat packages. He's a game changer, guys, as a true freshman. He's only 17 years old.
All right, so we'll be all over this all morning long as we are counting it down. College football playoff begins tonight. Joe Fortenbaugh, best bets from DraftKings Sportsbook. What is your best bet? Alabama, Oklahoma tonight.
We'll eliminate the short spread. We'll go ahead and play Oklahoma on the money line here. You've got an Oklahoma defense that's giving up just 14 points per game on the season. They're going to have the benefit of the crowd noise in this one. They got a mobile quarterback in John Mateer, which is the Achilles heel of the Alabama defense. I think there's still a little bit of that Nick Saban shine on this Alabama team, which affects the point spread. But case in point, Kalen DeBoer is not Nick Saban. Good coach, but in 12 non-home games, road games plus neutral site games, 6-6 straight up. only 3-point spread covers. We ride with the Sooners.
High noon tomorrow at Texas A&M. Miami versus the Aggies. What's your best bet?
Laying the 3.5 with Texas A&M. Home field advantage is huge in the opening round of the playoff. We saw it last year. Games hosted on college campuses for the first time in the playoff. Home teams went 4-0 straight up, 4-0 against the spread, and they won by 19 points per game. This stadium is going to be rocking. I do not trust Cristobal in high-leverage, late-game situations. That has been a problem for him throughout his career.
Give me one more. Tulane at Ole Miss.
Smaller bet will lay the big number with Ole Miss. Now that it's crossed 17, we'll lay the 17.5. This isn't the game where you're going to miss Lane Kiffin. That's going to be the next game. Ole Miss blew out Tulane earlier in the season. I see it happening again. I wonder with Tulane and head coach John Sumrall, as how invested are you in this game? You are, but he took the Florida job. It's not as if he's completely abandoned those responsibilities. He's splitting his time, and that's not going to work when you're a 17.5-point dog on the road in Oxford, Mississippi.
I dig deeper on the game tonight. Oklahoma, Alabama. Let's take a look at what the Crimson Tide have been up to of late. Last time we saw them was the SEC championship game. That did not go well. The Tide did not get on the scoreboard until the fourth quarter. They were held to a season-low 7 points. In total, the Tide ran for -3 yards in the game. Their struggles go beyond that game, however. They've been held under 30 points in each of their last 5 games against power conference opponents, which includes scoring just 21 against OU and a loss a month ago, and that game was at Alabama. Part of the struggles have been about the quarterback, Ty Simpson. Last 4 games, Bama 2-2. He's thrown for under 60% with 4 interceptions. He only had 1 pick in his first 9 games this season. And we have Jordan and Greg back with us here, and Harry Douglas jumping in as well as we look at this. And so let's start. Greg, I'll start with you. How does Bama get its revenge against Oklahoma from that first matchup in November?
Well, I think the big key, Greeny, is they have to protect Ty Simpson. It starts up front. If you look at Oklahoma, number 1 in the country when it comes to sacks, they have 41. They were able to apply tons of pressure against Ty Simpson in the first matchup. It led to a strip sack. It led to an interception that was returned to the house. I think when you watch this protection unit, they really struggled with the absence of their tight end, Josh Cuevas. They also struggled with the absence of Jam Miller at times down the stretch as well. Those 2 guys can help those tackles a lot. When you have a tight end and you have a running back that can chip defensive ends on the way out into the route tree, that's an enormous benefit to helping that offensive line. So I think it starts there. They have to protect their quarterback because they are one-dimensional and the run game's likely not going to go. So if you're going to throw your way to victory, it starts with protection.
So, Jordan, let's talk about the quarterback. I know you've put together something for us to look at here on why Ty Simpson has been struggling down this stretch.
Yeah, Greg's 100% right. It's the personnel he's missing, but also Ty's a little predictable. Not in a bad way, but in a way that defenses can exploit. And Oklahoma was the first to do that. If you show him pressure, he's going to slide protection. When he is hot and he has a free blitzer, he's going to throw hot. So you see the backside safety sees that the whole way. They know they're going to make Ty Simpson hot. They know he's going to throw hot to that side. They pick it off and go back for 6. This one here, this is simulated pressure. So it's only 4 rushers, but it feels like blitz because that linebacker is on a running back. This is where Ty's going to have a better sense of urgency. Get the ball out. That's a first down. 2nd and 8 or 2nd and 7 is so much better than 2nd and 14. He's got to play with more urgency. But here, this is what scares you if you're Oklahoma. When Ty has a clean pocket, he is so good. This is a 45-yard back shoulder throw, honey hole in tight coverage. When he's clean, he is so good. So it's going to be paramount that those guys that Greg mentioned, Josh Cuevas and Jam Miller, help protect, but also that Ty isn't predictable, that he doesn't throw hot just because he's hot, that he gets the ball out of his hands with urgency, and that clock moves a little bit faster against Oklahoma.
So that very first play that you showed, Harry and I just looked at each other and smiled because we were having breakfast this morning, and Harry on his phone literally showed me that play. Harry, how do you see this one from an Alabama offense standpoint?
Yeah, number one, I think it's very important that you protect the quarterback. When you look at games versus Oklahoma, Auburn, and then also versus the University of Georgia in the SEC championship game, 10 sacks that Ty Simpson had on him, but also turning the football over, 4 turnovers as well. And I also feel like in this matchup, you can't be one-dimensional. When you're going against a guy with a defensive mind like Brent Venables, you cannot be one-dimensional, especially playing them multiple times in 1 year. So can Jam Miller assist them in the run game? And as far as this interception play right here, the great defensive minds, they're going to get you to declare one way with your protection and slide it to the left, and then they're going to give the impression that they're bringing the blitz from that way, but they're going to bring it from another area, and then you have that mistake in which turned into a pick six versus Oklahoma the first time around.
Greg, I do the First Draft podcast every week with Mel and Field, and over there was a moment in time in this season when all of the conversation was about Oklahoma's quarterback, John Mateer. There was a moment when we were talking about him for the Heisman. There was a moment where we were talking about him as a very high NFL draft pick, and then he suffered the injury, and it just hasn't been the same since. What do we need to see from him tonight for the Sooners?
Well, Greeny, you're right, but a broken hand shouldn't lead to poor decision-making. And he's got 10 interceptions, and a lot of those interceptions were just bad decisions. So I think they kind of have to take some of that decision-making off of him, and they got to run the quarterback. I think that's where it starts. John Mateer's best attribute at this point is his playmaking ability as a ball carrier. Alabama's pass rush has improved this year. They've gotten better as the season's gone along. They've gotten healthier as the season's gone along. What neutralizes the pass rush? A quarterback that is always a threat to take off and scramble and extend plays as well. He's great in that aspect. If he extends plays, you got to be super sticky in coverage, because if you start paying too much attention to him taking off and hurting you with his legs, then a receiver could uncover down the field. But I think it's really important for him to be very, very opportunistic tonight when taking off and scrambling and utilizing quarterback run. If he touches it or carries it less than 15 times, I'd be a little bit surprised in this game.
A variety of numbers. I mean, for Carson Beck, who's been there and then some, he's 13-3 over the last 20 years. It's the 7th best record by a starting quarterback against ranked opponents. And if you look at the company that he keeps, we're talking about Heisman winners and national champions and first-round NFL picks, and yet he has been sort of kicked around a little bit, certainly to the time at Georgia and all the rest of that. What are you looking at tonight? It'll be tomorrow at noon, Jordan. What are you looking at from Carson Beck to win this game in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, decision-making, right? I mean, in the 2 losses against Louisville and SMU, he has 6 interceptions. If you go back to his last year at Georgia, he had a propensity to turn the football over, force it downfield. I want to see Carson Beck look like the experienced veteran that he is. The environment's not going to be too much for him. He played in the SEC. He's been in these moments, loud moments before on the road. But the decision-making has to be better when he's under pressure. Don't try to hit the home run. Take what the defense gives you, because if you start to push the ball downfield under pressure against A&M, they are going to make you pay. Greg already mentioned Cassius Howell, one of the best pass rushers in the country. This comes down to decision-making from the veteran quarterback. Don't turn the football over, and they can win.
And you'll be doing this game for us, Greg, so obviously you won't make a pick. But what do you think will decide it? What will you be watching for in this game that will tell you, perhaps even early on, which way we think it's going to go?
Well, Greeny, as a guy that covers the NFL draft as well as you do, you're going to love this game. Because this game features NFL matchups all over the board. I think this game is a line of scrimmage game. And that's why I love both these teams. I think both teams could theoretically make a run and win the whole thing. I think they're that well built, and they're built from the inside out. It starts along the offensive and defensive lines. For Miami, their 1-2 punch of Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor, they can take over any game they play in, but they're working against an offensive line in A&M that is one of the best in college football when it comes to protecting the quarterback and opening up run lanes. And then on the other side, we already know about Cassius Howell, but they have a lot of depth at defensive tackle as well, working against Francis Maui-Noah, a unanimous All-American and likely top 10 pick at right tackle. So I think it's line of scrimmage. Who can establish the run, who can stop the run, who can rush the quarterback, and who can protect the quarterback. That's what will ultimately decide it.
It's a Mel Kiper game. I get what you're trying to tell us here. Let's put the picks up on the screen. Harry, let me see what helmet comes up under Harry Douglas's name. Oh, we're both going with the U. Harry, how does the U win this one?
Yeah, I think, number one, first and second down production on offense. So you're 3rd and 2 to 5. I think that's going to also protect Carson Beck. Listen, Malachi Toney is one of the better receivers in college football, and what he means to this football team, you can give it to him in the run game, the pass game. He was a high school quarterback as well, so I'm going with the Miami Hurricanes in this one, ACC.
Once again, Greg not making a pick as he'll be on the broadcast of the game tomorrow. Much more from these guys as we go. Again, let me repeat the college football playoff first-round matchups. Oklahoma-Bama is tonight, people, 8 Eastern. Then tomorrow's triple header is Texas A&M and Miami. That's at noon Eastern. Both those games are on ABC, ESPN, and the ESPN app.
want this, you got that. No way, watch them walk right past you. Run fast while you have the chance. Don't speak, let them look right at you.